Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Red Talk, your authentic football fan channel dedicated to Manchester United. This is your Sunday social with me and Treyas. It's been quite a while, hasn't it, Treyas, since we've done a Sunday social? I can't remember the last one, but how are you doing?
Yeah, it's been a long night yesterday. There was hope, then that hope was crushed. So, it's been a long night, but hopefully, next season will come on really quick, so we'll be able to forget it.
Yeah, after the horror show of last night's treble being completed by the Tin Pots, United are still kind of umming and ahhing with the ownership situation and the transfer situation.
I had such a strong feeling that they would announce the transfer of ownership right after City won it.
Is there a better time to announce it really than that? Like, that would just overshadow everything.
Exactly.
But obviously, that would only happen if the Glazers cared at all. And as we know, the Glazers do not care. But in regards to transfers, we just touched on there, the latest news coming out from last night is that we're interested in Jordan Pickford. So we're going to discuss that in depth and who is the right fit for the goalkeeper, who we would both go for. Palestri's been talking about his first season at Manchester United. I'm sure Shreyas will be keen to touch on them quotes. And also, do we need super wealth to compete with the likes of Manchester City? All will be discussed very, very shortly. And for the second half of the show as well, we're going to open some Panini packs live, and we both have to make a team from the picks we pull. And once we made our picks, we can't change it. We have to pick a formation and a captain, and then let's see who can kind of create the best team. So very jam-packed, some little bit of interactive stuff in the second half. Perfect, kind of what you want for a Sunday, right? That's what we do here. Exactly. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, or you haven't liked the video, whatever it is, please do make sure you do that. And if you want to become a Real Red Ultra for exclusive content, a badge next to your name and a chance to feature on the show, click the join button next to the notification bell and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing when we go live. Right, let's start with Jordan Pickford then, Shreyas, because I'm keen to get your opinion on this. Apparently, United are ready to move for Jordan Pickford, whether De Gea leaves or not. That's coming from TalkSport and a journalist called Reluctant Nico. So, I mean, that second one I've never even fucking heard of in my life, but take that as it is. There was a few other reports floating about, like Porto are likely to be forced to sell Diogo Costa for less than his 75 million release clause. Everything indicates they'll have to accept less to close the deal before the end of the month, and then. You obviously watched Onana in the game last night. I know you've been banging that drum for a while, but just focusing specifically just on Jordan Pickford, is that someone you'd ever consider?
No.
Why?
I think he's heavily inconsistent. I don't think that we struggle with consistency with De Gea. Like we've seen that. I think before the World Cup, I would have said that De Gea has improved a lot. There were games where he genuinely saved us. The Barcelona game, the first game that we had against West Ham at Old Trafford as well. He was absolutely phenomenal in that game. But you can say this. You can see the same thing with Jordan Pickford. Like when he's in form, he's a very, very good and capable keeper. But there are patches to his game, which I've seen for quite some time, and a lot of Everton fans have been seeing it. For quite some time as well. I think Nick Pope has had a better season in comparison to Jordan Pickford, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think if we're going for someone to replace De Gea, I want us to go with someone concrete. Someone who can actually come in and do the job. I don't want us to settle for someone who could just be someone we can just put on like a band-aid. Like we need a concrete keeper in that position, a concrete player who can do the job for us. And I just don't see Pickford being that sort of a person who could come in and do the job for us.
Yeah, I absolutely second that. There's quite a few comments. So I'm just going to read list a few off, and then we'll dive into it a little bit more. Box is saying Pickford would be an upgrade. That's a very strong take from Box there. Distribution would be lol. Oh, right, anyone in distribution, sorry. Afternoon, Brian. Big up to Brian, obviously a regular, one of the Real Red Ultras, saying not sure Pickford is the right replacement, to be honest. Box saying even that stopping Pickford is an upgrade. This current De Gea. I mean, the form De Gea has shown this season, he's made some fantastic saves, but he's also made some absolute clangers as well.
Post that Barcelona game, he hasn't been that great.
Yeah. Jonathan Balls in the chat saying, personally, I think Pickford is English media protecting their hope. That's I like that take. Brian Casey, Amanda Nunes retired for, that's a UFC. Moondog saying Pickford wouldn't be a bad signing, but would be settling for a homegrown keeper who isn't first choice for his country. Pickford's first choice for his
Pickford's
country.
first choice for England.
Yeah, Pickford's first choice for England.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, I get the Pickford kind of narrative. I absolutely agree. He does have inconsistencies. I've watched some games from him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. If De Gea was doing that, people would be absolutely torturing him. And the pressure at United is so much bigger. He's fantastic for England, but so is Harry Maguire. So I'm not accepting that kind of conversation. Say, oh, he's really good for England. Yeah, so's Maguire, mate.
Yeah.
Like, not the same thing. Who is the right goalkeeper for us, do you think, going forward? Are you still sticking with Onana?
Yeah, I think he is, and I think he was good last night as well. I think
Very good.
for the job that he had to do, especially the kind of attackers that City have actually got to offer. I think he did a fantastic job last night. He's been a great keeper throughout the season, like absolutely consistent. Like you cannot pick out one game where you would have said that Onana hasn't been great. He's been by far one of the most consistent players for Inter this season, and he could be available for a price of 40 or 45 million, and you could be getting Pickford for about 50 or about the same range. And if you have to go for Pickford, and if you have to compare them for the same price range, I think Onana is miles better than Pickford. And if that price goes up due to the British tax, I would rather go for Mike Mignon.
Yeah, there's a few variables with this which I'm interested in. Obviously, I think he's worked with Ten Hag before. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, he has at Ajax.
Yeah. So obviously, Ten Hag knows the player. I do think I saw a quote the other day saying he's happy at Inter Milan. You can read into that as much as you want. Obviously, he had a Champions League final this year. I think they finished 5th though, didn't they, in the league? Oh, they didn't.
No, top. I think they made top 4. Yeah, I think it was
just made top 4.
Yeah, I think it was them, AC Milan, Napoli, and Lazio.
Yeah,
because Juventus got a point deduction.
Yeah, regardless of all of the kind of variables at discussion, I think I watched him last night. It was the first time I've watched him closely. I've seen bits of him and highlights and clips and stuff like that. But the difference is when we have De Gea in our team, whichever team it is who play, I think Newcastle away is a prime example of this. They press the life out of the keeper. And it causes confusion, it causes pressure, and people get worried, and it can cause chances for them, and then they score from it. It's as simple as that. The City players are actually scared to press Onana because he's like Lissandro at centre-back, where you go near him, he'll just instantly, he'll do that lob pass, that chip pass over the press. Yeah. That's what De Gea cannot do.
He's very good.
He's incapable of it. Yeah. Onana is like top level at that. Absolutely. And then you obviously say, well, can he do his job as a keeper? Erling Haaland, the big chance that he had yesterday, Onana stayed strong, saved it with his right hand. So he's kind of ticking them off as you're going along. I still think I need to see a bit more of a sample of him. I need to watch him a little bit more to make a concrete decision, because I've seen obviously more of David Raya because he's a Premier League goalkeeper. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of David Raya. I like Diogo Costa, but I think he might be too pricey. But if you can stick near that range shares of like a 40 to 50, that could be feasible, right? Yeah,
and Onana actually could be available for that price. Once again, considering his work with Ten Hag, so that could be an attractive. United could be an attractive option for him now. And besides that as well, Onana has been doing it at the biggest stage, for quite some time now, because he's done it at Ajax in the Champions League as well as the Eredivisie. Now he's been doing it for Inter Milan in the Champions League once again, as well as in Serie A. If you compare the other options that you've got, Pickford has been, at Everton for quite some time, and he's been inconsistent. Like you can never call that, Jordan Pickford has been a revelation for Everton this season. And with Diogo Costa, he's only been in the Portuguese league up until now, and the one time that he was at the grandest stage, it didn't really go that well for him. I think he's a very decent keeper, but for 70 million, you have to compare 50 million or 55 million for Onana. I think you would much more likely be leaning towards that side.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, the priorities going into this summer. Still no kind of, I mean, we've had news that it's close and Mason Mount and this and that and blah, blah. But still no real movement, or in terms of like deals getting closer and closer to being done. This is signed or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's getting a little bit frustrating with the transfers. But let me read out a few more comments. Box is saying the number of teams now, poorer versions of themselves, is staggering. Plus the death in quality of players is evident in 2023. Now that's an interesting comment, because I was discussing with a couple of my mates last night after the treble had been done and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if it's just you, but I feel like players back in the day, like Ronaldinho, Zidane, Messi, when he was first coming up, these kind of guys, I don't feel like you get players like that anymore.
Yeah.
Is that just nostalgia, or is that like, am I talking?
I think it's definitely valid as well, because football has evolved. Up until that time to now, it has actually evolved. But if you have to compare them players, like take Kylian Mbappe for example, and then you take
Yeah.
Ronaldinho for example. Ronaldinho had that raw physicality, and you would say that trickery on his sleeve. Like whenever you would see Ronaldinho play, there was this. I would say it was raw and it was polished at the same time, and those sort of players had a completely different mindset towards football altogether whenever they used to play on the pitch. Now I think players are more direct in their approach, much more direct. Like you could see versatile players, but versatility would only come in the way that they can play multiple positions. It wouldn't come
Yeah.
according to the position they play. Like Ronaldinho was a very versatile player, but he only played left wing. But he was still a very versatile player, because you could never actually pinpoint as to what move he would be making next.
Mm.
Same goes for Messi, same goes for Cristiano Ronaldo, and all of these players. Now I don't think that we saw those sort of players anymore. They're much more direct, and I think the kind of football that managers want to play at the moment, I think that is the sort of profile they want to work with as well. So yeah, I think definitely, I think the game has become a bit softer in comparison to what it was like 10 to 15 years ago. So I think it's definitely valid. Even the top
I just
most.
think,
Yeah.
sorry, I just think the era, like the Ronaldo versus Messi, La Liga, Madrid versus Barca,
Yeah.
all the Brazilian teams that were coming up, your R9s, Roberto Carlos, all these kind of guys. Like, I don't have that same feeling about football now.
Yeah.
And I don't know I really don't like the Joga Benito era. Like, just it doesn't even not. I'm not saying that because City won the treble last night, but I'm looking at it. Even the game wasn't the best. The game was like pretty shit, and I'm just sat there like, I don't know, man. Like, it's not. I know we had like the World Cup final, for example, which was for 70 minutes, it was pretty shit. But after that 70-minute mark, when Mbappe comes back into it, and you're just like, wow, like what an absolute spectacle this is. But yeah, whilst we're kind of talking about treble, we'll just hit that straight on, and then we'll go on to the Palestri quotes and some other things. First and foremost, how did you feel after last night? And how did the guys who are watching right now talk to me about this treble? Because City fans right now, all over social media, all five of them, and they're pointing out there about better than 99 and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, right? Football's moved on, modern times. It's hard to compare, 2023 to 1999 because so many things have changed, literally just as we were talking about there. How do you feel about that treble?
First off, if anyone actually feels that the last night game was better than the one we had against Bayern Munich, like just go back and see that game all over again and see what happened actually, because this game was nowhere near to that game, and I wasn't born and I still saw it. So yeah. Secondly, I think for a second, in the first half as well, when I actually thought Inter had a really good chance of actually beating City the way they were playing. I think all of their players looked charged up. And you could actually see, like visualizing that game. If we were put up against Inter, probably it could have bended our way as well, the way they were playing. And there are too many variables, but I think in the box, like, we were talking before, they just didn't know how to actually convert. They genuinely didn't know. And the positioning as well as times, especially Lautaro Martinez and players like Lukaku, I think they didn't bring that finishing edge. Like, if they had someone like a Rafael Leao in that team last night, they would win.
Yeah, we was literally discussing that. I think it was just the inconsistency up top. I mean, when you're playing a 37-year-old Edin Dzeko, and the opposite team's got a 21-year-old Erling Haaland, who's probably the best striker in the world, and is probably going to win the Ballon d'Or. The level in difference. I mean, City squad
even
alone
Alvarez, like pick their second choice striker Alvarez. Alvarez is better than Martinez and Lukaku as well.
He's second choice, and he's won a World Cup and a treble. Second choice. Yeah, it's mad. It's absolutely mad.
Exactly.
But the point I was going to make is this kind of narrative about the 99 and the 2023 treble winners, right? I did a combined 11, and I thought I was quite fair in that. And people are saying, "Where's this guy? Where's this guy?" I feel like you have to appreciate the fact that City have done it. I think their team alone's worth £500 million, right? And I know in '99 we had players like Starmore and a couple others who we paid decent prices for, and the prices have changed. But primarily we had like academy players. It's like youth players who were in that team.
Yeah, he definitely did. And Sir Alex never had that sort of financial backing that Pep Guardiola has had. Like he's never had that sort of financial backing that he's had.
Yeah.
And if you have to go and look into that season, the kind of players we had and the way they performed on the pitch as well, I think the football we played demanded more physically in comparison to what it demanded yesterday or the way City play as well. And I think that was one of the best facts about that 99 team, that you could not actually see a game and say we're playing good or bad. It was just too quick and it was just too physical, and the players like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer who could come off the bench, Cole, York, and we had so many great players in that team. So if you compare them to the team that you've got today, it is difficult because once again football has evolved. Football has evolved a lot in so many years. It has gotten much softer. Like if you put Erling Haaland in the 2000s era with the kind of defenders they had at that sort of time, I think he would genuinely struggle a lot.
It's one of them where it's like when people say like, oh well, Ronaldo's better than George Best when he was at United. It's like forgetting like 1968, the pitches that they was playing on were bobbly as fuck. I mean, like the play, everyone was smoking and drinking. You have to judge it from their era and what they did there, and it was amazing. And what United did in the late 90s, no English team had ever done it before.
And they didn't have the sort of squad depth that City have got.
No, we was the first to do it. And the other thing as well, we also didn't have 115 charges against us for financial doping.
Yeah.
So, and then someone put a comment on the reel last night, saying, we played Madrid and Bayern Munich. Did you see our run? Who we played on the way up to the final? We played Bayern Munich in the final. We played Inter Milan, I think we played Juventus, where Kino put that in that thing. And we had Barcelona and Bayern in our group.
Yeah.
So what do you mean? What are you talking about?
And the Inter they faced last night wasn't the Inter we faced in the 99. Like if you look at that squad, Syria was at its peak at that era.
Inter Milan, it's being bluntly honest, are Europa League kind of fodder. Yeah. They are. They're just as simple as that. In my opinion, they are anyway. People might disagree with that, but I think if you saw Inter Milan this year in the Europa League final, you wouldn't be like, what? Like you just wouldn't.
You just can't understand how they made it towards the final. I found it's so staggering that AC Milan couldn't actually beat them. Like I genuinely, because it was actually really strange, because I think if you compare the firepower these two teams have got, I don't rate Lautaro Martinez and I don't rate Romelu Lukaku, or Edin Dzeko is too old. You look at that squad that they've got to offer. They've got Rafael Leao up top. They've got that Sailmakers on that right hand side, which I think is a really good player as well.
I agree.
Giroud has been, for some reason or the other, he manages to score goals. Every single place he goes. Except that they got this Charles de Ketelaere guy as well, who's been really great in the Belgian league. Has transferred here. Zlatan Ibrahimovic there as well. So, in comparison to the firepower they've got, they're much better in comparison to Inter Milan.
Well, Inter Milan last night, we already touched on it, a 37-year-old Edin Dzeko up top. They had Matteo Darmian starting as a centre-back. Matteo Darmian, who was shit, one of our worst signings. I can't stand him. Might be a lovely person, but did not like him as a player. Mkhitaryan coming off the bench. These guys, they're just not Champions League final quality. They're really not, but look, it's one of them. The last thing I wanted to touch on with this is it's quite worrying for the future, innit? Because I always talk about age profile, and I've spoken about Arsenal before with the players that they have. They're all 24, 23, top level players. So going forward, it's quite a worry. We've still got to recruit in certain areas. Midfield being one of them, attack being another, maybe defence as well, with Varane potentially kind of picking up more and more injuries. City, they have Phil Foden. I think he's already won 5 Premier League titles in a Champions League, and he's 22.
And he doesn't even start.
Erling Haaland's just won a treble in his first season. He's just broke the Premier League record, and he's 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
Ruben Diaz is 26. It's pretty scary, isn't it, when you think about it? I hate saying it because obviously we're United fans.
I know.
That has to put a little bit of fear in it.
Exactly. And they're going to, bring in more players this transfer window as well.
That's what I mean. So they've got a window coming up. Like, who could they possibly buy?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
I've not even seen anyone who to link with.
Exactly. Like, who could come in and actually make that squad even better?
I honestly, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I'd love to. I'll tell you what. I'll throw that to the comments. There's 12 people in the chat. Do smash a like on the video. Who would City go and buy now in the summer to improve him? What players would improve Man City? Please do tell me.
Yeah.
I
don't think they need players anymore. I genuinely don't think. Like, the players they've got, they can actually keep playing them and carry on winning the league for at least 10 to 11 years. They've got that sort of side.
He likes to shake things up, doesn't he? That's the thing. You saw with João Cancelo, like, everyone was looking at that best right back in the league with the season before.
Went for the formation with no right backs.
Yeah, it's in a bit. Oh, I'll get rid of you. And he said it to Rio. He said it's impossible to keep a winning team. You have to shake things up every single year. So obviously you've seen like the team with like Sané and Sterling, both attacking wingers. Yeah. Grealish and Bernardo Silva are more kind of inverted now, and you've got Haaland stretching it. Like he switched it up every single season pretty much.
And they've still got players like Mahrez and Phil Foden and like you mentioned, Alvarez on the bench. They're not even starting, and they would start for United.
Yeah, I think there's a few nice comments in the chat. Not nice, but like good comments, should I say. So, Box is saying Kovacic for Gundogan in terms of age, Gvardiol for Laporte, Sosa for Cancelo. Sam saying if Gundo or Bernardo leave, need to replace. That's what I mean. If people leave, then they need to replace. But if they was to keep the like Gundogan, fucking hell, I never spoke about Gundogan. Gundogan is such an underrated player.
Yes,
and I'm absolutely like I'm purring about these players, and it's Man City, and it fucking kills me. But they are the top level. You can't not sit there and say they're not. Like they are top
They've
level
got
players.
These players who might not be the obvious choices for game changers when you look on paper, but when they're on the pitch, like players like Gundogan,
unbelievable,
absolutely.
And Brian Casey is saying De Jong could replace Gundogan if he leaves. My heart would break.
If it happens like what happened last season, it might happen because every single player Nick actually went to a rival club.
Yeah, that is killer. That if that happened, if De Jong actually went, I'd be like,
he did come to Manchester. Is all I'll say.
Like he would be so good at Manchester City. Like if he replaced Gundogan, honestly, I swear he would be perfect for them.
Rodri, Gundogan, Rodri, De Jong, and De Bruyne.
Yeah, Moondog saying Kimmich, Rice, Alphonso Davis. Maybe I don't know. Alphonso Davis, maybe. It just depends how he wants to switch it up, to be honest.
He doesn't need fullbacks in this formation, which he's not used to playing.
That's it. It's scary. It's scary for next season. So this is why the next question or the last question I was going to pose, and I'll get onto Lewis's comment in a minute because he speaks about Brandon Williams. I'll touch on that in a sec. But this is why I'm getting onto the point that do you feel like United need, I'm not saying state ownership, but need significant investment now?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I get it. Yeah.
To compete with the likes of Manchester City.
Exactly, they do. Like, looking into the squad, we need 5 to 6 more players. Not just on the first team, on the bench as well. Like someone you can bring off of the bench because you need impact players to be there. And I think you can definitely say that, there are youngsters coming through who are very, very talented and need nurturing and a good and stable environment to develop. But I just think that, till that time comes, we also need players. Like for Amal, players like Garnacho and Pellistri to hit their best, they still need at least 2 to 3 seasons more to get to that point. For that 2 to 3 seasons, we need players to come in. And that could only be possible if we are able to actually, invest into the club. And I don't think we can do it without super wealth. You can manage without super wealth. I think Ten Hag can still do wonders if he doesn't get, that sort of financial backing either. But to be able to compete with Man City foot to foot, you need super wealth.
That's the annoying thing for me because we've invested the same amount of money as Manchester City, or more potentially. But this is the argument people throw in your face. Like the Glazers have spent money, so what you
they spent it on one player, not on collectives.
Have you seen who they left in charge to run the asylum? Like Ed Woodward for 10 to 12 years. Some of the players he brought in, like you can argue
Maguire for 80 million. Romelu Lukaku, I don't know for how much. Alexis Sanchez came in.
Sanchez on 500k a week. Falcao, Schweinsteiger, Schneiderlin, Pogba. Mate, there's so many. But not even just that. Like, you just look at past 10, 12 years, right? I think there's been apart from the summer that we just had, of course, under Ten Hag, there was like 3 good signings. You could argue,
and
in 10 years.
Genuinely,
it's
people saying that the players that we could have signed for millions less could have functioned this club much better. Chouameni for 20 million, Erling Haaland for 4 million, and Nkunku for 20 million. Like if these players could have come in.
Enzo 15 as well.
Yeah, and Moises Caicedo for 5.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's even like likes of. This is why it's saying you can't just have money. It doesn't work like that. It has to be spent right. It has to, because Everton has spent about 700 million or 500 million, I think it is. Look, whether they're in relegation scrap for the past 2 seasons, so it has to be spent right, and that is the key there.
Yeah.
Box is saying hopefully not I can't say that. You can say that name, Treyas. Kvaratskhelia for Mahrez.
Oh my God.
Then we need a total revamp and change on and off the pitch. New owners, new director of football, transfer committee, scouts, coaches at youth level, new stadium, upgrade Carrington before we get onto the squad. Yeah. Jonathan Ball saying it's the difference between wanting to buy to increase your social media presence and signing players to actually win. Yeah. And that is absolutely bang on, Jonathan. I completely agree with that. It was social media FC won it. It was look at who we're signing, big names, going to sell loads of shirts, Pogba, all this bullshit. Like,
exactly.
Get to fuck. Yeah. Not happy about that. Just one more thing I want to touch on before we get onto Palestra, and it kind of segues into kind of youth players. Brandon Williams last night on Instagram, did you see it?
Yeah, I didn't understand the concept, but then you sent it, so I was able to make a little about it.
Dear me. He's basically, because Rio Ferdinand was congratulating Pep and Haaland and saying well done and blah, 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 and praising him, essentially, which we was doing a little bit then to a certain degree, because they're still a great footballing team. I know it's Man City, but they've got good players. It is what it is. Call a spade a spade. But Brandon Williams is like biased for money. I can't remember the exact quotes, but saying like, don't want sloppy seconds and what's Rio talking about and all this. And he was just kind of like, it seemed like he was pissed. And he's gone on Instagram. He's in his emotions a little bit, and he's just gone like this. It's a little bit. Do you feel a little bit embarrassed for him when you saw that?
I don't know. Throughout the course of the season, there have been 3 incidents with him, pretty much, if I count this now.
Balloon.
Yeah, exactly.
In a car, you're like, what the fuck's going on here?
And I still don't know why he had to go do it. Like, genuinely, like, you're not playing for the team. You're nowhere near the first team or even the bench. There's literally been no news about you as to what will happen to you and what is your future at the club. And suddenly, one day you decide that, City have won the treble. Now it's time for me to take to social media and, go out after Rio Ferdinand. So, I really don't know
Some people have been saying like they like it because it's defending United or whatever. Blah, blah. Just for me personally, it's just my own opinion. I read it. I was like, it's a bit like, I don't know, man. I think
there's no need for it. There's actually no need for it.
Yeah, I think if Lissandro came out and said it, people will probably be like,
exactly.
He's our leader. It's like you probably get a bit more behind. Brandon Williams, who does it, who hasn't even played a game all season, just seems to pipe up. I remember with Maguire. When all the news was coming out about Maguire that he's was leaving, or there was like bad press around him, he was like, always back my captain and blah, blah, blah. Like, I just don't think he reads the room.
Exactly. And, thing is, probably come out with something more constructive. Like, going after a player. Like, I think the thing that most United fans would have preferred would be, that watch us in next season or watch us in the couple of seasons and we'll get there back as well. But it's the way you construct things and put it out, especially when you're a United player and the person you're commenting on as well.
Right, let's move on to sticking with the theme of youth players. One of your boys, Palestra has been speaking to MUTV, I think it might have been, or it might have been a different outlet. I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
He was talking.
He was saying, he was talking. And he was saying, Erik ten Hag is a great manager. He taught us a lot of things, different ways of playing. We prepare differently for every game. Of course, we have the same style, but we have to change some things every game. It was a good season. We were able to qualify for the Champions League, which was our goal in pre-season. We won the Carabao Cup. I gained a lot of experience. I'm happy with my first full season here. Do you think these young stars now have much more of a chance now Erik ten Hag's in the dugout, as opposed to when he was coming through under Ole?
Yeah, I do think, because Oli just stuck to his 11. Like, he had players, he'd never used them. He used to stick with the 11 week in, week out. relied on these players to just probably do something in the second half, pretty much, to actually change the course of the game. Under Ten Hag, you see much more variations. You see new players coming on, new faces coming on. Uh, Actually, different tactics as well mid game, like the way he is able to switch things about, and you can see it by the way he uses Garnacho off the bench. We've seen a couple of appearances for Kobe Menu. We've seen some very decent outings and cameos from Pelistri as well. So he is definitely, looking to bring that youth into the team. But I think the pressure was just so high, and the frequency of the games that we played was so high that he couldn't really pull all of these guys together and give them, some equitable game time, which I get as well because, one game if we could have lost, we could have slipped out of top four. So I definitely get where he was coming from. But I think next season will be much much better for these guys, and I think some of them will go out on loan, but some of the guys will stay and they will be very very influential for next season.
Yeah, we've got 14 people in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on Pelistri, please. Would you sell him? Would you loan him? Would you keep him in pre-season? Let's see how he develops and maybe integrate him into the first team. If he does happen to go out on loan, make sure you smash like on the video as well, by the way. I forgot to mention that. But if you was to send him out on loan, Treyas, where would you send him? What would be the best project for him to develop, do you think?
Dortmund or Benfica?
Oh, Dortmund. I feel like they're like the two. What's the word I'm looking for? The two. It's coming. I'm thinking the descriptive words. They're the two standout teams where you would send a young player to, aren't they? Like you look around Europe. Yeah. Ajax as well to a certain degree. These kind of clubs, young players always thrive there, always, and they make that's their like kind of conveyor belt, isn't it? Like they're like, oh, South America, little gem, work him into the team, European experience, boom, 100 million. There you go, mate. Shift off. Next one, little diamond, the conveyor belt, shift off, and that's how they work. I agree with that. I think a Dortmund or Benfica. Do you think a club of that caliber are coming for him though?
I think because last season Leverkusen came in for him and he got injured, so he couldn't go out on loan. So and that time he didn't even get a single appearance for United, and that's when Leverkusen come in. Now, if any, sort of club like a Leverkusen or a Dortmund, Porto, Benfica, these sort of clubs are actually looking into him now. They would actually like to bring him in. Like they genuinely might want to bring him in, and because he could prove very influential. But there's always a chance he could just end up in a Premier League club being loaned out.
Well, there's a few comments about that. People are getting in the mix up, which is always nice. Let me see. Oh yeah, the comments. Jonathan Ball saying Pelistri changed my mind about him. To be fair, in a good way or a bad way, let us know. Box saying Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, Wolves. In my opinion, I mean some of them could be good shouts. Jonathan saying Iqbal has to be loaned. Pelistri to Ajax could potentially see that. I like that. Loan to the Prem team to get used to the pace and physicality of the league, says Shah Sam. Yeah, I think that'll be the case with Ahmad or Pelistri. If any of them get loaned out, I'd like to see him in the Premier League at a lower kind of team. They could be a star. I spoke about Ahmad on the members video. Any of the Real Red Ultra members would have seen that as to where he can go and where he would fit in for next season. Hopefully be in the first team, but yeah, let's see what happens with that. Now, Treyas, from Pelistri to Panini Packs, what we are going to do, I'm going to let the viewers know what we're going to do. We've got a box to open there, right? And what we're going to do is we are going to pull out some packs from this and we're going to create our own team, but we can only have one pick. So if we've got like a goalkeeper throughout the full positions, we pick our formation and we pick the position that we want our captain to be in. So we pull one out. We've got one pick on it, yes or no. Simple as that, right? It's pretty easy. Yeah. Okay, so do you want the first pack or am I having the first pack?
You are having the first pack.
Okay. Well, let's go. Let's open him. Very nice. I love that box, by the way.
Yeah.
Very nice design. Yeah. Lovely. And that as well. That's nice. It seems like it's not a promo for these packs, I promise you. We're not at that level yet where we've got brand deals.
We don't mind if you want to sponsor us, though.
It's match tax, Panini pack, wherever it is. If you want to sponsor us, you're more than welcome to. Marky Mark saying the hierarchy at O team must be on crack if they want to sign Jordan Pickford. Yeah, I think Jordan Pickford might be on crack as well. If you watch him in the game.
Last season we went from Rabiot to Casemiro. This season we go from Diego Costa to Pickford.
Jordan Pickford, yeah. I've got a feeling my mate Alex, who's an Everton fan, will be watching this. He absolutely raves about Pickford, thinks he's one of the best keepers in the league. So I don't think he'll be happy about that. Right, we're going to open the first pack.
Yeah.
But once I pick my keeper, it has to stay there. If I then pull out Manuel Neuer or something like that, I can't just go, yeah, I'll have him instead. They have to stay in there then.
Yeah, you stick with the player you pick out.
Yeah. Sam saying, if you want to sponsor us, then hit us up. Absolutely. Panini Packs, you know what to do, pal. Or Cards Plug. They've dropped us a little email before. So, yeah. So,
you got the first pick, right? And it's a very good card as well.
Okay. Have we opened the pack? Yeah?
Yeah, because it is in... Actually, let me show you how it is. So, this is how it opens.
Okay.
Open it like this. And these are the cards. Yeah. So, I'll pick them out one by one. And then we'll see who is luckier.
Right, okay. So, the first pick, show it to the camera when you can.
Yeah, I'm just opening the deck.
Right, what I'll do is this is what the soundboard is for. While Shreyas is opening them packs, we can pull out a
oh my god.
Unbelievable!
And then when you get a good one, you get a or you can have this.
Because I'm listening to that for the reward.
Or this. They get a good one, you go,
Oh, yeah.
You get the gist. You get the gist.
So Nick's first player would be...
That is...
Federico Chiesa.
Oh, Chiesa.
Yeah.
So he would be a... Wait, first and foremost, let's what formations are we both having?
I'm going with a 4-4-2.
4-4-2. Okay.
Yeah.
4-4-2. And I'm having a 4-3-3. So I can either accept or decline that player, right? And if I accept the player in there, if I get another player in that position, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 second.
I'll
Yeah.
You okay?
Good. Yeah, good. So you've got Chiesa. Would you like to keep him or would you like to ship him off?
No, I'll ship him off.
You will ship him off. So the next pick is mine or yours?
Yours. Your pick.
Okay. So next player. It's a PSG player.
Of course.
And it is...
It's Mbappe.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god. Jesus
yeah, so I've got
Christ.
one striker done. Oh my god.
Right, so you've obviously got Kylian Mbappe.
Genuinely, it's a very good card.
You've already... That is a nice card.
Yeah. So my first pick is Kylian Mbappe. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, what's my next one? I need a good pick now.
Oh my, you got another good one as well, I would say. Now that is Robert Lewandowski. Signed card. Robert Lewandowski.
Lewandowski?
Yeah.
Signed card, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would you like to keep him or would you like to ship him off?
Oh, he's keeping, mate. Keep him, of course.
Okay.
Right.
Next pick is mine, and it is...
So are you opening them out of a pack or they in a deck?
They're in a deck, so I'm pulling them out this way.
Okay.
And my next player is...
Who's that? Benzema?
Yeah.
Is that Karim Benzema? Yeah.
Karim Benzema.
Go on. Well, you got a French connection there.
Yeah. My two strikers are...
These are good pulls.
Yeah. And I didn't expect any of them to actually come in. Like, first picks, we're getting Chiesa, Mbappe, Lewandowski, and Benzema.
Okay. Yeah. Great start. These are going to be some proper, like, all-star 11s here. Who's next up?
You. And your pick is... Leroy Sané.
Oh, Bayern Munich. Do I want him as a winger?
What do you want?
I'll ship him off.
Okay. You're going with a 4-3-3?
Ship him off. Yeah.
Okay. Next pick is mine.
I think I'll get a better left winger.
And it is... Oh, it's a man of the match. Yannick Carrasco.
I'll ship him off. So do you have him on the wing?
I'll ship him off.
Ship him off.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Carrasco. He was alright a few years ago, but fell off a little bit.
Yeah. Next player is Nick's, and it is... Harvey Elliott.
Ship him off. Burn the card.
Snap
it in half. Yeah, he's the last person I would fucking put in
Yeah.
my team.
Next player for me, and it is from Real Betis.
Candy Elvis saying, when did we get football or Pokemon cards? They're new.
Yeah.
Who
It is
did you got there?
Juan Miranda.
Juan Miranda.
I'll ship
Okay.
him off.
I mean, he's getting shipped back to Real
Next
Betis.
pick is a midfielder for you, actually, which is written on the backside of the card, and it is.
Okay. Who is it?
It is Bukayo Saka
Oh, it's an Arsenal player, but he has been great. I'll take
on the
Saka.
right-hand side.
I'll take Saka.
Lewandowski
Yeah,
and Bukayo Saka on the attack.
Yeah. I know he's an Arsenal player, people,
Yeah.
but he's been good this season.
And I have pulled
Who's that?
Jadon Sancho.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You taking him?
I'll ship him off.
Shipping Sancho, who I said was going to be top goal scorer in our big season preview.
And I had him before
Shocking.
my sister.
Oh my god!
I think out of all our attackers, he played the least amount of games.
Yeah, he missed 16 games for that individual program, didn't he?
Next player for Nick is a Bayern player. Ooh.
A Bayern player. Oh, Goretzka. Is that
Goretzka.
Goretzka?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Goretzka. 100%. Oh,
Turning-
date.
yeah. Turning out a good squad
that?
for you. Next player for me is Christian Romero.